SKRULLs are coming. Secret Invasion, the next big Disney Plus series, is coming June 21st. And to prepare you for the SKRULL invasion, here are 30 fun facts about everybody's favorite shapeshifters, the SKRULLs. Fact number 1. The SKRULLs first appeared in Fantastic Four #2 and were created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. They were originally from the planet Skrullos, located in the Andromeda Galaxy, but have relocated several times over the years. Their infiltration of Earth was a major Marvel Comics crossover, as depicted in Secret Invasion. The SKRULLs were originally interested in free trade and sharing their technology, but that all changed. To find out why, stay tuned. Fact number 2. The SKRULLs are shapeshifters. They're able to change their form into any shape, size, color, or even sex. The SKRULLs are able to duplicate any organic or inorganic life form, making them excellent spies and masters of espionage. The SKRULLs are able to alter their appendages into any weapon like a club or a sword, making them very formidable hand-to-hand combatants. However, when a SKRULL dies, they return back to their original form. Stay tuned for more SKRULL fun facts. Number 3. The SKRULLs' ancestors were experimented on by the Celestials. Remember those big guys in the sky from the Eternals film? As a result of these experiments, there are 3 branches of the SKRULL race. The Prime SKRULLs, which are the unexperimented on, the Eternal SKRULLs, and also the Deviant SKRULLs, which are the only ones who could shapeshift. The 3 branches started fighting amongst each other, and the Deviants, being the only ones who could shapeshift, won. The Deviants decided to spare the leader of the Prime SKRULLs, who just goes by the name of Prime SKRULL, and Clybian, the leader of the Eternal branch. Clybian eventually fell in love with the leader of the Deviants branch, Slilglert, and the two became gods in the Skull Pantheon, while the Prime SKRULL escaped to Earth. More on the religious beliefs behind the SKRULLs and how it's impacted the Marvel Universe. The SKRULLs have used their advanced technology to alter their abilities, go a little bit further beyond just shapeshifting. An example of this is Kl'rt, the Super SKRULL, one of the Fantastic Four's most dangerous opponents. In addition to possessing the powers of all 4 members of the Fantastic Four, Kl'rt also is able to hypnotize his opponents simply by staring into their eyes. He can paralyze them or even just mind control them. The Super SKRULL is also a powerful fighter, accomplished pilot, and an expert in espionage, making him one of the most dangerous SKRULLs in the entire Marvel Universe. But he's not the only SKRULL with powers. Stay tuned and I'll tell you a little bit more. Number 5. Did you know that there are mutant SKRULLs? During the X-Men event, The 12, the SKRULLs had formed an alliance with Apocalypse in helping him ascend to become a celestial being. To do this, the SKRULLs had forced a very small sect of SKRULLs who had mutant powers to assist Apocalypse. However, in the middle of a battle with the X-Men, the mutant SKRULLs turned on the other SKRULLs and helped the X-Men win the day. After Apocalypse was beaten, Professor Xavier joined the mutant SKRULLs in space, where he trained them, kind of like how he trained the X-Men, and called them Cadre K. Cadre K and Professor Xavier came back to Earth a little bit later on during the events of Maximum Security. Afterwards, though, Cadre K decided to stick around, settling in a ranch in South Dakota. That's not the only time, though, they've gotten involved in Earth events. Cadre K actually once teamed up with Captain America to help him beat Dr. Doom. For more facts on SKRULLs and Cadre K, stay tuned. The SKRULLs and another alien race called the Kree have been in a war for thousands of years. The initial Kree-Skrull War started when the SKRULLs first visited the planet Hala, home to the barbaric Kree and the peaceful Kotati. The SKRULLs held a contest to see which species was superior, sending a team of each species to different uninhabited planets. When the Kree competitors realized they were going to lose, they killed the entire Kotati team, thinking this was the way to prove that they're the superior race. A year later, when the SKRULL delegation came back to see what each team had worked on, they were shocked and appalled by the Kree's actions. The Kree responded by killing all the SKRULLs and stealing their ship. The Kree developed their own technology using the SKRULL tech found in the ship and became so advanced they eventually attacked the SKRULLs on their own home turf. This changes the SKRULLs to militaristic. But for more about the Kree-Skrull War, fact number 7. The SKRULLs have a way to conceal their true identity once they've shapeshifted into another person or another object. Once a SKRULL has assumed another identity, They're able to stay concealed from even the most powerful telepaths or superhumans who have super enhanced senses. That is until Secret Invasion, when Reed Richards developed tech able to force a shapeshifted Skrull to return to their original form. For more shape-shifting facts, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Secret Invasion is coming to Disney+, and to prepare you, I've got 30 fun facts all about the Skrulls. This is fact number 8. Do you remember when I told you about the different branches of Skrulls? Well, the Deviant branch also has a subclass called the Dire Wraiths. The Dire Wraiths can shapeshift just like other Skrulls, but their natural form is drastically different. At some point in time, the female Dire Wraiths began learning magic, which caused a rift between them and the other Skrulls and ultimately drove them off their home planet. After an unsuccessful attack on Galador, home of Rom's Space Knight, the Dire Wraiths scattered across the universe, some making their way to Earth. In addition to Rom's Space Knight, the Dire Wraiths have fought other Marvel superhero teams, including S.H.I.E.L.D., the Avengers, and the Annihilators, just to name a few. Although the Dire Wraiths are steeped in Marvel history, their trademark is owned by toy maker Hasbro. Stay tuned for more Skrull facts. Invasion is coming. And to get ready, I've prepared 30 different Skrull facts for you. This is fact number 9. Prior to the first Kree-Skrull War, the Skrull Empire had encompassed 50 different planets. Under the rule of the megalomaniac Skrull Emperor, the Skrulls created the first cosmic cube. Fans of the Marvel movies might know that as the Terrasect. The cosmic cube, however, gained sentience and evolved into a being known as the Shaper of Worlds. The Shaper of Worlds lashed out at its creator, wiping out 2/3 of the Skrull Empire and reverting their civilization back to a primitive, barbaric race. Afterwards, the Shaper of Worlds deliberately limited the scope of his powers. Stay tuned for more Skrull. Secret Invasion is coming to Disney Plus on June 21st. Are you prepared? So here's Skrull fact number 10. Do you know these Skrulls have had their eyes on Earth for a very long time? In 1958, the Skrulls attempted to sabotage NASA's space program by kidnapping pilot Chuck Chandler while he was testing the experimental XF-13 space rocket. Chuck escaped but was exposed to radiation when he damaged the Skrull's warp engine. Chuck crashed into the Mojave Desert and was found by his crippled younger brother Hal. Somehow Chuck's body dematerialized but imbued themselves onto Hal's glasses. So now when Hal wears those glasses and concentrates very hard, Chuck materializes himself as 3D Man. 3D Man has triple the strength, triple the speed, and triple the durability of his original body. The 3D Man successfully repelled the very first Skrull invasion. Although the Skrulls were beaten, their plans to conquer Earth were far from over. Tune in and you'll hear more about that. Because here's Daily Skrull fact number 11. The Skrulls have been involved in conflicts with many other galactic civilizations. A group of specially genetically bred Skrulls use a device to not only change how they look, but also adopt the powers of the people they were trying to replace. This group, known as the War Skrulls, successfully infiltrated the Shi'ar and the space pirates known as the Starjammers. While posing as members of the Shi'ar government, the War Skrulls started wars with other races, murdering thousands. One War Skrull replaced the X-Men's Professor Xavier and used his mental powers to assert control over the Empress of the Shi'ar, Lilandra. The War Skrulls were defeated by the combined forces of the X-Men and Lilandra's sister, Deathbird. Stay tuned for more about Skrulls' attempts to conquer Earth and other galaxies. Number 12. Did you know Johnny Storm, the Human Torch for the Fantastic Four, was married to a Skrull? That's right. The War Skrull Pybok had this idea. He was going to replace Ben Grimm's girlfriend, Alicia Masters, in an attempt to exact revenge on them for turning his friends into a cow. That happened. We'll get to that another time. To pull this off, Pybok enlisted Lyja, a Skrull warrior and master spy. When Lyja made her way to Earth, she was stunned to find that the Thing stayed on Battleworld following the events of Secret War. Acting quickly, Lyja, disguised as Alicia Masters, seduced Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, and the two were actually married. Alicia Masters' stepfather, the Fantastic Four villain known as the Puppet Master, noticing something was wrong and bringing his concerns to the Thing. Once Lyja was confronted, she revealed her true form and took the Fantastic Four to the real Alicia Masters, who was held in suspended animation. Pybok then tried to kill Human Torch by shooting with an energy blast, but Lyja, having developed actual feelings for the Human Torch, jumped in the way and died. Or did she? You'll have to stay tuned. So what's all this news about Skrull cows? I'll tell you. In fact, it's Skrull fact number 13. The term Skrull cows or cow Skrulls, whichever you prefer, usually reference three particular Skrulls. Early in the Fantastic Four issues, 4 Skrulls travel to planet Earth, posing as the Fantastic Four, and tried to cause a muck. First, the Fantastic Four, the real Fantastic Four that is, were able to beat them. Reed Richards hypnotized 3 of the Skrulls into thinking they were cows, so they've been permanently shapeshifted as cows since then. 1 Skrull, however, got away. The 3 Skrull cows, by the way, did pop up again during the Kree-Skrull War. The Super Skrull had tried to trick Captain Marvel, or Marvel, into thinking he was Carol Danvers. Meanwhile, the 3 original Skrull cows managed to overcome their hypnosis and capture Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and Vision, taking them as hostages to force Captain Marvel into building an Omni-Wave projector. The 3 Skrull spies were captured once again and again forced to resume thinking they were cows, where they eventually ended up in the town of King's Crossing. But to find out what happened to the cow Skrulls from there, you're going to have to stay tuned. Did you know that the Skrulls tried to mess with the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights? Not only did it happen, but it's Skrull fact number 14. The Skrulls had this idea. They're going to use a time machine to go back into time and visit 1776, just at the time of the American Revolution. There they were going to ensure that any passages in the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights about slavery would stay in those documents. Their whole reasoning was that if humans were used to slavery, if it was written right in our important laws and documents, then when the Skrulls invaded, it would just make it that much easier for them to enslave us. Of course, as soon as the Fantastic Four got wind of this, what did they do? They created their own time machine to go back into time and stop them. And just how did they stop them? Well, Reed Richards went back to his old playbook and turned the invading Skrulls into cows. But that may have caused a whole nother issue. If you want to hear more about that, you're going to have to stay tuned. For Skrull fact number 15, I'm going to talk to you today about the architect of some of the Skrulls' most dastardly schemes. That's Emperor Dorak VII. Dorak VII is the direct ancestor of Dorak I. He came to power when he murdered his predecessor and married his daughter, Princess Raquel. Together they had 1 child, Princess Anel. Now determined to get revenge on the Fantastic Four for turning his spies into cows. Dorak ordered the Super Skrull to capture Franklin Storm. That's the father of Sue Storm, Invisible Woman, and Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. The Skrulls did release Franklin Storm, but unbeknownst to anyone else, Morat, Dorak's chief warlord, had implanted a bomb inside of Franklin Storm's chest for a plot to kill the Fantastic Four. This plan failed, however, when Franklin dove on the ground, saving the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four went to the Skrull throne world to get revenge for Franklin Storm's death, but was captured by Morat and imprisoned. He tried to overthrow Dorak. Morat's plans failed, however, when Princess Anel told her father of Morat's planned insurrection. With the help of the Fantastic Four, Dorak was able to subdue Morat. Dorak VII then pledged to the Fantastic Four he would never invade Earth again. But we all know that was a lie. More on that later. Skrull formed the Fantastic Four. Well, not the Fantastic Four, but listen, it's Skrull fact number 16. The renegade Skrull Delilah came to Earth in search of an item she thought would help her assassinate the Skrull Emperor and establish rule of her own in the Skrull Empire. In addition to having her Skrull shapeshifting powers, Delilah also has low-level telepathic and empathetic abilities. Delilah is able to read surface thoughts, sense emotions, and pull images from a target's mind. She tends to shift her form into someone whom they desire. Delilah used her powers to capture and subdue the true Fantastic Four, and then, pretending to be Susan Richards, she convinced Wolverine, Spider-Man, Hulk, and Ghost Rider to form the new Fantastic Four to avenge the deaths of the original Fantastic Four. Delilah then sent the new Fantastic Four to fight Mole Man so that she could get that powerful Skrull device that had crash-landed on Monster Island. Unable to find the artifact herself, Delilah revived Mr. Fantastic. He led Delilah to Monster Island, where they not only ran into the new Fantastic Four, but also a team of Skrull soldiers who was looking for her. Ghost Rider then temporarily paralyzed Delilah by exposing her to his nightmarish penance stare, which not only shattered her sanity, but it also temporarily suppressed her powers. But that's not the only time we've seen Delilah. For more Skrull antics, the Kree are not the only galactic civilization the Skrulls have gone up against. In fact, one such invasion led to not only the downfall of Dorak VII, their emperor, but also, in some opinions, the fall of the entire Skrull Empire. Interested in hearing more? Great, because it's Skrull fact number 17. Following the end of the first Kree-Skrull War, Dorak decided to turn his attention to the planet Xandar, that's home to the Nova Corps. This invasion, however, was complicated when Xandar's ruler, Queen Adora, got help from the Fantastic Four to fight off the Skrulls. Dorak captured the Fantastic Four and brought them to his ship, where he put them on trial for their quote-unquote crimes against the Skrull Empire. They, of course, were found guilty and exposed to an aging ray that would cause them to die of old age within 3 days. Despite this, of course, the Fantastic Four managed to break free and thwart the Skrulls' invasions with the assistance of the champions of Xandar. While Dorak was busy trying to figure out his next move, he was shot in the back by his wife, Empress Raquel, who then took control of the Skrull Empire. I know it sounds like something out of Game of Thrones. I mean, we do know that George R.R. Martin was a big Fantastic Four fan. If you are learning more about what happens to the Skrull Empire, because I'm telling you what happens next is pretty massive, make sure that you're subscribed to this channel and stay tuned. Get ready, everybody, because it's time for Skrull fact number 18. The Skrulls actually created an android meant to be the Super Skrull superior. They called it Skrull X. Robot designed to look like a Skrull. When Skrull X learned that Reed Richards, Thing, and Sue Storm were affected by that aging beam I talked about in yesterday's tip, he decided to take the opportunity to conquer Earth for himself. What he didn't realize was that the Human Torch, Johnny Storm, stayed behind on Earth. The Skrull and Johnny Storm went head-to-head for several rounds, and Skrull X really did hold his own against the Human Torch until he made the mistake of making Johnny Storm angry. And you won't like the Human Torch when he's angry. Kind of sounds like someone else. The fight ended when Johnny Storm went Nova, melting Skrull X. Of course, that wasn't the last time the Skrulls would try to invade. Stay tuned for more Skrull Facts. Invasion is coming to Disney Plus on June 21st, and to prepare you, I've prepared 30 different Skrull Facts. This is Skrull Fact number 19. In the comics, the Skrulls' acts of war that occurred during Secret Invasion was actually seen to them as a holy war. The most well-known and influential Skrull religion is the Dardvan sect, also known as the True Faith. The Dardvan primarily worship Clybian and Slugert, who present themselves as Emperor and Empress of their pantheon. Slugert once looked like this, but sacrificed her form in order to please Clybian. There has been a third god in the comics, Zorkiri, but she was killed by Gore the God Butcher. Followers of Dardvan believe the Skrull Empire is divinely inspired, and it is their holy cause and sacred duty to colonize Earth in the name of Slugert and Clybian, and that the planet is theirs by right. Also, according to religion, when the Skrulls conquer a planet, that planet's gods and deities are enslaved. The Skrulls' version of Hell is called the Shapeless Waste, because in Hell, they can't change shape. Make sure to stay tuned to this channel for more Skrull Facts. Get ready, everybody, because it's Skrull Fact number 20. The Skrulls first appeared in the MCU back in the 2019 film Captain Marvel. But did you know they were also supposed to be in an X-Men film? Actor Ty Sheridan, who played Cyclops in the most recent X-Men films, in a podcast interview did state early drafts of the Dark Phoenix script had the Skrulls rather than the Dabari as the main villain. While the film was in pre-production, Disney and Fox had begun negotiations for Disney to acquire Fox, which they ultimately did. Allegedly, Fox executives forced the director Simon Kinberg to change critical elements of the Dark Phoenix film, including the Skrulls. Although the film was slated to be released before Captain Marvel, it came out much after, and honestly didn't do too well. Many blame the marketing or lack thereof on Disney's part. Some people just say it just wasn't a good film. What do you think? Would that film have been better if you had Skrulls rather than the Dabari? Sound off in the comments. I've spoken a lot about how the Skrulls grew their empire, but for Skrull Tip 21, I'm going to tell you about how their empire fell. The Skrull throne world, Tarnax 4, was devoured by Galactus, and their Imperial fleet was destroyed by his herald, who at the time was Nova, Frankie Ray. What followed, though, was an intense Skrull civil war. The biggest loss to the Skrulls, however, came when in the middle of this Skrull civil war, Reed Richards detonates a hyperwave bomb, making it so Skrulls can't change their shape anymore. To compound the issues, the Kree and the Skrull begin fighting again. Only this time, a Skrull warlord by the name of Sybil teams up with the Super Skrull and manipulates the Silver Surfer into siphoning a little bit of his power cosmic. This grants her the ability to return the Skrull's shape-shifting abilities back to them just by touching them. The new Kree-Skrull conflict ends in a truce, and Sybil becomes the next Empress of the Skrull Empire, moving the throne world to her homeworld of Satriani, named after the guitar player. This time of peace, however, did not last long, as the Annihilation Wave marched across the Skrull Empire, utterly crippling the Skrull Empire. This set the stage for Secret Invasion, at least in the comics. Did you know that in the 1990s, an actual real-life disease was the inspiration for a major Skrull storyline? Well, it's Skrull Tip number 22. In 1995, Britain was grasped in the fear of mad cow disease. Comic book writers Grant Morrison and Mark Millar were inspired by stories of the mad cow disease and presented a story where the Skrull cow had somehow made it to a slaughterhouse, and that Skrull meat and Skrull milk was ingested by people, causing a bizarre condition called Skrullovoria-induced Skrullophobia. As a result, they gained shapeshifting abilities. They also developed an intense fear and hatred for Skrulls. A small group of infected formed the Skull Kill Crew, a vigilante group whose only desire was to kill the Skrulls who caused their condition. This did help avert many different Skrull conflicts with humans. However, at times it did put the Skull Kill Crew at odds with heroes like Captain America. It was later revealed that in addition to changing the Skrulls into cows, the Fantastic Four did change one Skrull into a duck, which was consumed by an Asian American by the name of Tara Tam. Tara eventually developed superhuman abilities of her own thanks to eating that duck, though she turned down a membership opportunity in the Skull Kill Crew. She later did appear, however, as Howard the Duck's sidekick. Is this information enough to make you go vegan? Let me know in the comments. Fact 23. Whatever happened to Elijah? You may recall Elijah was the Skrull who, disguised as Alicia Masters, married the Human Torch. Last we talked about her, we thought she had died. In actuality, Pybok had kept Lila in a comatose state. Pybok, with the assistance of Devos the Devastator, bestowed her with the power to fly and energy blasts using this special kind of implant, calling her Lyja the Laser Fist. Lyja joined Pybok and Devos in an attack on the Human Torch at Empire State University. Later, Devos, Pybok, and Lyja witnessed a battle between the Fantastic Four and the Secret Defenders, the former other Fantastic Four. It was then that Lyja realized that she still bore feelings for the Human Torch and betrayed her cohorts to save the Human Torch from. Elijah then went on to aid the Fantastic Four against Doctor Doom, Devos, Pieback, Claw, and Huntara. Around this time, Elijah also claimed that she was pregnant with Johnny Storm's baby. But to see how this unfolds, you're going to have to come back tomorrow. SKRULL Fact 24. In case you missed 23, Elijah just told Johnny she was pregnant with his baby. When she delivered the child, which, because she's a Skrull, it's an egg, although Elijah and Johnny were growing close, she was holding a terrible secret back. The egg was revealed not to be their child, but a Skrull bioweapon, which she subsequently destroyed. Johnny, enraged at being betrayed and deceived by Elijah, broke things off with her once again. Elijah was still in love with Johnny, though, and she stalked him as a human. The couple were about to reunite before the Onslaught crisis, but when the Fantastic Four went missing and presumably dead, Elijah faded off into the distance. She did pop up again during the Secret Invasion storyline when she assisted the Skrulls in sending the Baxter Building to the Negative Zone. Elijah later revealed that she was not one of the Skrull attackers involved in Secret Invasion. Rather, they wanted her to blow up the Baxter Building, but she sent it to the Negative Zone to keep the Fantastic Four safe. This is not the last time the Fantastic Four have encountered Elijah. Stay tuned for tomorrow's fact. SKRULL Fact number 25. How did Secret Invasion start in the comics? The Skrull Empire was the first of the major interstellar empires to face the devastating interdimensional invasion from the Negative Zone led by Annihilus. Though the Skrulls fought heroically, they were unable to halt its advance. Within less than 6 months, the Skrull Empire was devastated. With their empire shattered, the Skrull, under the leadership of the religious extremist Queen Vernaki, infiltrated Earth to pave the way of a major invasion in an attempt to turn it into their new throne world. Several heroes were replaced by Skrulls. Eventually, Reed Richards was able to pierce through the shape-shifting, and all the heroes and villains banded together to stop the Skrulls. Unfortunately, the Skrulls activated a fail-safe within the Wasp, turning her into a biological weapon. Thor had no choice but to destroy her. Angered, the humans attacked the Skrulls, killing Vernaki and destroying their fleet in orbit in retaliation. All the missing heroes, villains, and S.H.I.E.L.D. agents were found alive and returned to Earth. Tune in tomorrow for more. Did you know one of the Young Avengers is a Skrull? Stay tuned because it's SKRULL Fact number 26. The Skrulls have a legend that a half Skrull and half Kree Emperor will unite the two races and finally end this series of long feuds between the two civilizations. That ruler is believed to be Dorak the Eighth, also known as the Young Avenger named Hulking. During the Kree-Skrull War, the Super Skrull had kidnapped Captain Marvel, Quicksilver, and the Scarlet Witch. While in prison, Captain Marvel and the Emperor's daughter, Princess Anel, had a brief affair, and during that affair she conceived a child. Fearing for his safety, Anel sent the child away with her nursemaid immediately after he was born. The servant took the child to Earth to be raised by the father, but upon arriving on Earth, she found that Captain Marvel had passed away from cancer. The nursemaid then decided to raise the child as her own, naming the child Theodore Teddy Rufus Altman. After the events of Avengers Disassembled, the Avengers had disbanded. Teddy joined the Young Avengers and adopted the superhero identity Hulking. Did Hulking fulfill the prophecy and unite the Kree and Skrull alien races? You're going to have Why is the Young Avenger Hulking so special to both the Kree and the Skrulls? Well, that's SKRULL Fact number 27. Super Skrull showed up, claiming that Teddy was a Skrull. The Super Skrull broadcast to all the Skrull worlds that he had located Dorak the Eighth, though Teddy still insisted he was not a Skrull. The Super Skrull insisted that he was and revealed the truth about his past. He also insisted he must return to his people so they could reunite the Skrull Empire. The Skrulls were not the only ones who heard the broadcast. Kree soldiers arrived to help Teddy, stating the Kree looked out for their own. A battle then erupted between the Kree and the Skrulls, both claiming Teddy as their own. The only solution that Hulking saw to end the battle was to surrender. It was settled that Hulking would spend half an Earth year with the Kree and another half of the year with the Skrull. It was later revealed, however, the Hulking who left with the Kree was actually the Super Skrull disguised as him, and therefore the real Teddy stayed on Earth. The Kree nor the Skrull are done with Hulking yet. Stay tuned for more information. We talked a lot in this series about Clerked, the Super Skrull, but did you know that there are other Super Skrulls? Well, listen up because it's SKRULL Fact number 28. In the aftermath of the Kree-Skrull War, several of Earth's greatest superheroes who recently formed the Illuminati went to the Skrull throne world to warn the Skrulls to stay away from Earth. Those heroes were captured and studied by the Skrulls before they escaped. Studying the information they had learned about the heroes from Earth, mixed with their own research on Skrull mutants, the Skrulls were successfully able to use science and magic together to create Super Skrulls that were imbued with memories and powers of their subjects and could not be detected by any technology, magic, telepathy, or other superhuman senses. During Secret Invasion, the Skrulls deployed thousands of Super Skrulls. The Super Skrull program still exists today in the Skrull Empire. Various Super Skrull training centers exist in the Empire, and Super Skrulls have been assigned to Skrull worlds as enforcers and as protectors. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for more Skrull Facts. If you watched yesterday's installment, then you know the young Avenger Hulking is the new Emperor of the Kree-Skrull Alliance. But if he's an Avenger, why is his first act as Emperor sending a bunch of warships to Earth? Well, stay tuned because it's all in part 29. In the Marvel event Empire, it is revealed that the Katati, long thought to have been extinct when the Kree wiped them out, are actually alive and have been secretly living on Earth. While in hiding, the Katati have been amassing their resources and their armies to attack life itself. I'm going to just stick to the parts as they pertain to the Skrulls. At one point during the storyline, Hulking's advisor Talnith is to get Hulking to deploy a Skrull weapon called the Pyre. This device that overloads a star and causes a supernuclear bomb. It points out that the Super Skrull recently launched a Pyre, wiping out 1 billion of his own people in an attempt to stop the Katati. This is Super Skrull's great disgrace. Tomorrow's going to bring the final part to the series. Make sure that the final part of my overview of the Skrulls and the conclusion to Empire. Hope you enjoy. Talnith privately revealed to another member of Hulking's Royal Guardsmen, Captain Glory, that Talnith is actually Raquel, the Empress who we thought died when Galactus had destroyed the Skrull homeworld years ago. With the help of Captain Glory, Raquel abducted and impersonated Hulking in order to deploy the Pyre. Hulking was eventually liberated by his husband, the Sorcerer Wiccan, and confronted Raquel. During a battle, Raquel was defeated and subdued by Hulking, using an inhibitor mask that did not allow her to use her powers at all. With the Pyre disabled and the Katati finally defeated, Hulking consolidated his power as the true king of the Alliance. Afterwards, Raquel was incarcerated on the brig of the Alliance's ship, cursing the Alliance, also revealing to Hulking she did have the opportunity to save her daughter, Princess Anel, which would have been Hulking's actual mother, but didn't, leaving her daughter to die.